Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Hey, thank you so much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 955. Well, we are going to be speaking with a growing and aspiring entrepreneur today for this FFA episode. Elyce BURZALAFF is coming on from DeWitt, Iowa. She's a sophomore in high school, got inspired to come up with a business idea last May, and now has this growing and burgeoning T-shirt sales business. She's on social media. She's developed her own website, and it is a very, very exciting story, and really looking forward to profiling this for you, talking to Elise at the very early stages of her developing as an entrepreneur, and of course we'll want to follow up with her here in a couple years to see how this has developed. So we're going to get that interview started for you right now. Elise, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet. I am looking forward to the discussion and hearing all about your business. And I want to say Merry Christmas. Now, your episode's coming out actually the day before New Year's Eve, so it'll be a little bit after Christmas, but we're recording this during the Christmas season, so Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you, too.
You bet. How much are you, is this your last week of school before break? We're recording this, everybody, on the 17th of December, so is it Christmas is next week?
Yep, I finish off this week, and then I have Monday and Tuesday still at school. So.
Oh, okay. So Monday and Tuesday, and then a couple weeks off, or just a week and a half?
We go back the 5th, or whatever day around that day. I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Oh, very cool. Well, it probably feels a little bit different this year. Have you been in school full-time, or are you doing some sort of hybrid schedule? How's that all working for you?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the school year, for about 2 weeks, we did hybrid, and then we went full in school. So we have to wear masks, but that's pretty much the only difference. There's still some people that are online, but not quite as many as you might expect.
I am intrigued by this. So you're in school 5 days a week.
Yes.
That is such good news. Okay, so you're in, for everybody out there who's ready to sell their house and move to where you live because they want their kids to be in school, you are in DeWitt, Iowa.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And so you're wearing masks, but you're there full time. Now, it's interesting what you've just brought up, because you said some students are still going online. So are those students whose parents are saying, no, we don't want our kid to risk COVID, so we're going to have them learn online, but for the rest of you, you've got the option of being in school full time?
Yeah, so it's completely up to the families. I have a few friends that are online because their parents don't want them to go to school,
Mhm.
and I know a few people who they just didn't feel comfortable going to school,
Mhm.
or maybe they live with their grandparents who are a little bit older. So it really just depends on your situation. But I'd say most kids go to school just because I think everybody kind of needs that, especially
Yeah.
right now.
Man, I love that. I have been ranting. I live in Idaho, which, by the way, everyone always thinks I live in Iowa, but I live in Idaho, and I have been ranting, wanting that, saying, look, if families don't want, we're set up for online. If families don't want their kids to be in school, then they've got that option. But man, for those of us who want our kids to be in school full time and to get back to normal and to really get the most out of their high school years, I really wish we would do that and make it optional, but give us the option. So I'm happy to hear that is going on. Let's see, at Central DeWitt High School. So props to your administration and your school board and all of that for being forward thinking on that. So let me ask you another question on this. And I know this is not your forte or what you are here to talk to me about, but I'm curious. So what about teachers? What about teachers who they're worried, they're uncomfortable, maybe they're older, they might be in the high risk category, they're worried about getting COVID. Do they have the option to maybe teach online, have you all in the classroom, and then they come to you remotely, or do they have to be there on campus?
There is one teacher that I know of that is online, and she only has seniors, so they just Zoom with her during their classes. But I do have a few teachers that are way more cautious than others.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some that will split up into 2 different classrooms, and then we'll Zoom with each other. So then she has a little bit more space and is not as confined into one classroom.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also some teachers that have like plastic walls separating them from their students, and just things like that. It depends on the teachers. There's some teachers that don't even want to wear masks, and then there's some that want to be totally isolated. So
All right, I am moving to DeWitt, Iowa tomorrow. Do they have any farm ground for sale there? I need to buy a farm if I come, but I'm coming. I'm coming to DeWitt.
Alrighty. I'll have to look at some for you.
Okay. Well, I love the forward thinking here. Because I heard this idea floated out like last spring, which is, look, if we're worried about teachers, because of course they're older and their risks run higher than students, then instead of having all the students at home on a computer with the teacher at the school on camera, why not have the teacher at home on camera and all the students in the classroom watching one screen, and maybe having, hiring somebody who's younger in a lower risk category to monitor that classroom. And it sounds like somebody in your school district's pretty forward thinking about this.
Yeah. We have most of our subs are older, but a lot of our teachers are younger. So most of them don't really have a problem with coming to school, but we have had a lot of problems with finding subs and replacements. So.
And you've got teachers with plastic separating them from the students.
Yeah.
And that's interesting too. You're not old enough, but have you ever watched or heard of the television show Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever watched it, but I've heard of it.
There is a classic episode, you'll have to Google it, or look it up on YouTube, about the Bubble Boy. But it has become a reality. I can't believe it. Your teachers are working in the bubble, the same as the Bubble Boy in that episode. But hey, if it gets you into school, into work, into the classroom, I fully support it. I'm not making fun of it at all. It makes a ton of sense to me. Well, I am thrilled to hear this, because I hope what you guys are doing there in DeWitt is an emerging trend, and I hope this spreads throughout the nation, and so this can happen. So, man, I'm glad to talk to you just for that information. We haven't even got into the rest of you. So let's talk about you. So do you, there in DeWitt, do you live on a farm? Do you live in town, or something in the middle of those two?
Yeah, I live on a farm. My dad raises show pigs. He owns land, but he rents it out. When my mom and my dad just got married, my mom said, "I'm either gonna leave you, or you gotta leave one of the farms." So he decided to leave the harvesting portion and stick with the pigs. So I show pigs and all across Iowa. So.
Okay, are they still married?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, we talk about farming here as the ultimate lifestyle business. So your dad must love your mom, which is good. That's a wonderful thing, and good for him being willing to do that for his marriage. But he has stayed connected to agriculture, at least in the raising of the show pigs, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So prior to that, was he farming corn and soybeans, kind of the Iowa thing, or what was he doing?
Soybeans and corn every other year.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So rotating them around. So so obviously you've been raised with just the pigs around, then, not all the different row crop farming.
Yep, just pigs. So okay. I love the little pigs. Okay.
Oh, very good. What kind of you guys raise a particular breed, or are they all crossbred? What are you doing there?
We mainly do Yorkshires, but we have a couple hams and a lot of crosses, but it just kind of depends on the year what my dad thinks is going to be best that year, I guess. So.
Okay. And then I think, so the Iowa State Fair is in August. I know that because I was going to come this year and I couldn't because of COVID. So I know that's in August. And so I'm assuming your county fairs are probably in July?
Yep.
Okay. So that means that you guys will farrow pigs out for the fair starting in what, February? Is that right?
Yeah. We actually have pigs farrowing right now, but most of our pigs will be at the end of January, beginning of February.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and that way they can be the correct weight for the fair. Okay, awesome, very good. Now, what about you? So you're a sophomore this year. Did you start the FFA in middle school, or did you start last year, your freshman year?
I started in middle school, but I became much more involved last year, in my ninth grade year.
Okay. Okay, so you became more involved your ninth grade year. Your high school, does it begin in ninth grade, or does it begin your sophomore year?
It begins in 8th grade, actually.
So it does?
You can join in 8th grade, but you only take an ag class half the semester in 8th grade, so it's much harder to know what's going on in the ag room. And that's one thing that our officer team has been really trying to improve on, is getting the 8th graders a little bit more involved.
Okay, so your middle school, so let me clarify, because I think we might have got our wires crossed. Your middle school, does it go sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, seventh and eighth grade, or sixth and seventh?
Yeah, it's very confusing. So we
Okay.
have an elementary school, which is kindergarten through third grade.
Okay.
And then we have a intermediate school, which is fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Okay.
And then a middle school, which is seventh and eighth.
Okay, that's what I thought. So your high school is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you started FFA in eighth grade, your final year of middle school,
Yes.
and then you got much more involved once you got to high school in your 9th grade year.
Correct.
Okay. And I'm just assuming that once you get into I guess the official high school chapter, there's a lot more going on, a lot more opportunities.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why did you join? Why did you become part of the FFA?
I think part of it was peer pressure by my peers, and then also friends of mine that were older and in high school, and also from my dad, because I knew that my dad and a bunch of my uncles and aunts were in FFA, and that it was very good for them and was a great learning experience.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, I got to talk about this peer pressure aspect. So we always, I'm a parent. My daughter's a freshman. She's a year behind you. She's just started in the FFA. As a matter of fact, she's on a hybrid schedule, and today is her day at home, but I took her down to the school. She's in the FFA office doing a project. So already she's involved, just like what you're talking about as a beginning freshman. And I told her, hey, you're going to be part of the FFA. This is a great educational program, and you're joining. And luckily, she is really enjoying it. So I'm lucking out in that respect. But as a parent, we always warn our kids against peer pressure. Except maybe we should be a little more careful with that warning. If people are peer pressuring you into joining an organization like the FFA, that's pretty good peer pressure.
Oh yeah. Peer pressure definitely goes both ways, but I'm glad it worked for me for the better.
That is great. Well, good for you. So you joined up, and obviously it is working out. You're enjoying it, and you got quite a cool business going on. We're going to jump into that here in a second. Let's do this. I would love to acknowledge. I don't know how many FFA advisors do you have there.
We have one, Amy Grants, and then we also have a FFA coach, Jenna Stevens, which both help me out a bunch.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, thank you for acknowledging both of them. Tell me about this position of FFA coach. So is that a teacher at the school, or is it somebody that comes in and volunteers to help you with projects? What is that position?
She doesn't work here. She just kind of comes and goes as she pleases. She helps us with any of our competitions, or she comes to all of our meetings, making sure that basically just making sure that we're in line and getting all the criteria met. She also is part of Ag in the Classroom, which she travels to the elementary school and then sometimes in the high school and teaches them about ag, which I think is a very important thing, especially with the younger kids, because some of them think that, like chocolate milk comes from a brown cow. That's all things that they just would have never learned. So she helps kind of teach that stuff as well.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that's great that you've got that person that wants to help out. Let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. Tell everybody what you've been doing.
So for one of my SAEs, I make T-shirts. I started selling them at the farmers market in April or May. I started at the farmers market in DeWitt, and then it's kind of grown. So after the farmers market ended, I started a Facebook page and an Instagram, and just kind of really started building from there. The person in charge of the farmers market, her name's Teresa Martins. She came to my 9th grade classroom and was talking about the farmers market, and she was saying how she needed more people and more variety of items to sell there. And so after class, I was brainstorming with some of my friends about what we could sell there. And, we had some pretty outrageous ideas, like, oh, we could make candles or a bunch of different things. And I remembered my mom has this T-shirt machine maker thing that I could make T-shirts for it. And I asked Teresa, and she was like, we've never had anybody, like, that's something so new, that'd be so exciting. So I kind of started from there.
That is interesting. So this was in an ag class that she came and spoke, is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so I want to put these steps together. So your FFA advisor collaborated with the person who's running the farmers market in DeWitt and brought her in to speak to all of you about entrepreneurship and selling something and being a vendor at the farmers market. this was the catalyst for you to start brainstorming ideas on what could we sell, what kind of business could we start. That's what caused you to remember that your mom had this piece of equipment and ultimately launched you into selling T-shirts.
Yep.
That's great. Wonderful. Had you ever thought about having your own business or selling your own products before this happened?
Not really. I've never known what I wanted to do after high school and after college. I guess I still don't really have a clear idea, but um, like testing my toes in the water of running my own business, I learned that I really liked it, and I really liked the money side and the making sure everything is in line, making sure I have enough T-shirts, and just keeping track of everything. I like all of the organization side of running my own business, and I also like the part where I'm talking to people in my community and I'm getting to know more people that I've never met. And yeah.
That is great. Good for you. So you got inspired and you found something you like, and I'm not going to try and make you commit to it for the rest of your life or anything like that. But for now, you've come up with this business idea. So this started your freshman year?
Yeah, between my freshman year and sophomore year, that summer.
Okay, so just last summer then.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, so now why did your mom have this T-shirt machine?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. It might have been a present from my grandma.
Really?
My mom and her siblings and her sisters are pretty crafty people. So
Okay.
it's called a silhouette machine. It's just like a Cricut machine. And it just cuts out letters, and it has a whatever. I don't know what all it can do. But I use it to cut out vinyl. And then she also has a T-shirt press, which my dad gave her for Mother's Day. Very romantic gift. Which is basically just a big iron. So
okay. Okay, so obviously you're saying that they're crafty. So this is something she had an interest in doing before,
yeah.
and putting this all together. So you had it sitting there, and was she actively using it, or did you kind of have to pull it out of mothballs?
So she used it a little bit. She's a second grade teacher.
Okay.
So a lot of her co-teachers would be like, I have this perfect idea for a very cute teacher tee, is what they call it. So she used it occasionally, but she didn't have the time to make any small business out of it.
Okay. Awesome. So it was sitting there. It was ready for you to use. And so you said, okay, this is the business I'm going to do. So then how did you come up with designs? And by the way, you're wearing one of the shirts right now, right?
Yes, I am.
Stand up and show it to us really quick. If you're watching on camera, you guys can see it. Very cool Santa theme. Awesome. So how did you start coming up with design ideas that you wanted to make?
Well, I mainly came up with, I guess I started with one. It's Faith Family Farm. It's on my website and all my social medias. And I came up with that all by myself. That took a while because it came from scratch. But since then, I've used different quotes or Bible verses that I really like. I've also gotten inspiration off of just Googling T-shirts or Christmas T-shirts, and then just kind of using that inspiration. Family and friends will also send me design ideas, or they'll send me, hey, I love this quote, but I just don't really like maybe the style or the font that it's in. Could you make this? So it's just kind of been an ongoing process of making designs.
Very cool. And so I'm assuming that you wound up selling at the farmer's market.
Yes. Yep.
When did you start that? When was your first day there, I guess?
I don't know the exact day, but it was in the beginning of May.
Okay, the beginning of May. And did you start selling shirts right away? Did you have some days of going down there where you didn't sell anything? I mean, how did that all work out for you?
So the first day, my mom helped me. I didn't have a Facebook page or anything, so she posted on her Facebook, "Hey, my daughter's selling T-shirts and a couple other things at the farmers market. Come down and check her out." So I had a few people, and then I grew to almost selling about $100 worth of T-shirts every day at the farmers market every week. And then I just kind of hit a wall because I kind of saturated my my community of T-shirts because once you have one, you don't really need another one.
Right.
So it really did pick up pretty quickly, and then it kind of just fell down just because I didn't have that many designs. So that's kind of when I started building up more designs and kind of extending out further than just my community and my farmers market.
Gotcha. Okay. And now you said you're on, did you say you're on Facebook and Instagram selling them?
Yeah, I have Facebook and Instagram, and then I also have a website.
And a website. Good for you. So give us all so everybody listening, how can they find you on any one of those three places? What's the web address and then the name of that Facebook page and Instagram page?
Facebook and Instagram is just Elyce Bees Tees, ELYCEBSTEES. And then my website is ElyceBeesTees.com, the same spelling.
Very cool. Good for you. So did you design your own website?
Yeah. That took a lot of, I wanted to make sure that I was picking the right website designer and that I was getting the most bang for my buck. So I contacted a lot of different websites and just asked them, hey, what is it going to cost for me to sell on your website? Like, what is it going to cost yearly? So I did a lot of research that way. And then I found, I actually used a site called GoDaddy to design my website. And I found it very helpful. It's been pretty easy for me. I like that kind of stuff too. I like kind of problem solving and figuring out and designing. So it was pretty easy and it was a lot of fun.
That's great. And so when did the farmers market close down for the season?
It closed down at the end of October, but my business really started slowing down in the beginning of October.
Beginning, okay. And then so now that it's closed down for the season, how have sales been from your social media pages and from your website?
They've exploded, especially with the holiday season. People love I have a bunch of funny sayings that people love to, they're just fun. So it's definitely gotten better, especially because more people will see them on Facebook than they do at the farmers market.
That's really exciting. And are you selling to people that are outside of your immediate area there in DeWitt?
Yeah, at the beginning, it really was just in DeWitt because if my mom shared a post or if somebody else in the community shared a post, it really was just people in my community. But then as time went on and my business grew, people would share it to their page and their page, and then it just kind of went into different towns across Iowa. I have had a couple um, family friends, and family members that have contacted me from outside of Iowa, but that's pretty much as far as I've gone.
That is really cool. So are you, so I'm picturing your business. I mean, you were just barely getting this started in May. Matter of fact, the idea, you just had the seed planted in May, and now you've developed all the way. Now you've got a website, you've got social media, you're selling all over the place, absent of the farmer's market. Are you shipping product, or are people that are buying it close enough they're coming to pick it up?
I actually usually deliver it just because I live about 15 minutes away from our town. So I'll usually deliver it, or I'll say, hey, these 5 people meet me at the park at 3:00 today and grab your shirts. So I will mail them if it's in a different town, but I've not sold quite as many outside of our town.
Got it. And what about buying the T-shirts? I mean, as more and more people start buying them, you've got to start restocking with supplies and things like that. How do you source your T-shirts that you're going to put these prints on?
Yeah, so that has actually been a huge learning curve for me, especially during the holiday season. With how many people buy off Amazon, especially this year, USPS and the UPS have been loaded with just packages from everywhere. So when I buy my T-shirts, sometimes they don't get here quite as fast as I wish they would. So I know that next year I'll have to make sure I stock up before. But as for where I get my T-shirts, I get them from a website called Cheapest Tees. So they're really cheap, and they're also very good quality. That was one of my biggest things when I was researching what shirts I wanted. Is I wanted to make sure that they were good quality because I hate a itchy shirt. Or I want to make sure that there wasn't going to be any holes or anything like that, and also that the vinyl would stick. But I also wanted to make sure that they wouldn't break my bank. So that's the site I use. The Gildan brand, that's my favorite. So
Okay. Which brand is your favorite?
Gildan.
Gildan. Okay. So that's an interesting problem that you had to solve, which was, I don't want to have a lot on overhead, but I want to provide a quality product. That's not easy to do all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Ah, very good. Now, with you getting busy like this, are you reaching out to family to help you with production and putting all this together? Have you hired any friends, or are you still able to do this completely on your own?
So I'm able to do this all by myself, but my family loves to help. The process of weeding out, because when you make the shirt, you have to weed out the negative space of the t-shirt design,
Mm-hmm.
and they think that's so satisfying. So my sister will come downstairs and she'll help me weed, and we'll just talk, sit there for a while. So they don't need to help me, but I do love it. So.
Okay. Well, so here you are. I mean, you're halfway through your sophomore year of high school. You've got this growing business. Where do you want to take this over the next couple of years?
I just want to build it. I want to keep exploding my business to other states around Iowa. One of my biggest goals is I want to make T-shirts, especially um, for proceeds to go to mental health, children who were hurt in farm-related accidents and different things like that. That's one of my biggest goals, but I also just need to kind of sit tight and make sure that I'm juggling my time good.
Yeah, you got to handle that time correctly.
Yeah.
Because as you grow, it's not just making T-shirts anymore, right? There's all these other things you got to do to run the business. Yeah. Very interesting. Now, you mentioned college, and I'm not going to hold you to anything, but you brought it up. Do you have some ideas on where you want to go to college yet, and what you want to study?
I really don't. I know I want to go into the ag business somehow. So I'm guessing probably Iowa State is somewhere I'm looking towards, but nothing really set in stone yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is great, and I'm very excited for you and for your business. You're obviously creative, and you're learning a ton about business, which is such a great skill to have. You're going to be able to use that no matter where you go. Even if you don't think you're working in business, you're going to be able to use that. And I wanted to wrap it up with asking you usually I like to ask an advice question. This is kind of an advice question. It's kind of just a personal take, but I wanted to know, so as you grow your business and you grow yourself as an entrepreneur and you're developing these skills, you mentioned that you want to do something that supports a nonprofit, that supports like children's mental health and things like that. What is it about what is it about doing something and giving back to the community? Why is it that you want to incorporate that into your business? What compels you to do that?
I think it's just the way I've grown up. My mom and my dad have always have raised all four of us kids to be compassionate and always help others when they need it. We go to church every Sunday. We help out at different soup suppers for the homeless and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I've my dad was when he was 8, he was in a fire at his home. So he was badly burned, and I've kind of seen the side effects of um, just how mean the world can be. So I've always just liked to give back.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm not wonderful of what your dad had to go through, but the fact that that something is good has come out of it, that's inspired you to want to do these things and help out people in the community. That's great. I'm so excited for you, Elise, and I've loved hearing your story. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, everybody, and thank you to Elyce BURZALAFF for coming on the Off-Farm Income Podcast and sharing that great information with us today. And hey, as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture. And hey, everybody, before I wrap this up, just a quick reminder, make sure you are subscribing to us here on YouTube. Click that little bell so you get a notification when we release a new episode. And hey, we'd love to connect with you in our other spots as well, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, all under the title Off-Farm Income. Thanks, everyone.